things gone for you, and how is it different from even the first year for you?
Yeah, I think you always get a little bit more acclimated to getting familiarized with the team. When I came here, actually third season overall, so when I initially came in, I was the director of pro personnel. So, I've kind of had roles like this. I've, been assistant director. I've been, college director. I've been assistant GM. So in terms of kind of just where we are today, it's just you just have a further, stronger grip on just the overall team, the overall roster. Obviously working day-to-day with Coach, get a better sense of our overall coaching staff. So, you just kind of get a better sense of how everything kind of comes together and operates.
And then you participated in, I guess, the front office accelerator program in the spring with Randy. What did you get from that, and how beneficial can that program be?
Yeah, I'm really excited about where the direction of that program's headed. It really gave us some really good insight in terms of having some of the one-on-one communication and just dialogue with the owners around the league. And then just some of the certain diversity groups that they're putting together with that. So, that was a great, 2-day panel. We really got an exposure also to network with, other executives and coaches within the league. So, I really like where it's going. It's in the genesis phase, so it's still evolving. But I'm excited about where the league is taking it and their involvement, and Commissioner Goodell also be involved in that. So, really, supporting it and being so strong is great.
You guys, Ben Standig with The Athletic, sorry. You guys, obviously a lot of you came over from Carolina, but there's still some people from the scouting department here from before, and it's now been a couple of years. What did you guys like about that group that was already here that you were able to keep so many guys on, including like a Tim Gribble, and how is that kind of meshing over time? Yeah,
it's really been seamless, and I think when you look at it, it's been a seamless process with these guys. I think there's some really nice evaluators here. We're really excited about our mixture. I think we have a nice group of we have some older veteran guys. We have some younger guys that we're excited about what they can become going forward. So when you kind of come in the room, are you kind of initially evaluating what does it look like, what's the lay of the land? But as you kind of get to know these guys, you get to see their body of work, really how they communicate, how they work with us. It really was very easy. Tim Gribble's done an outstanding job as our director of college scouting. Always excited to work with him. I think, I really kind of joke to both Marty and Martin that he's really kind of one of the glue guys of our group. It's been seamless. And I think the thing about for all of us is, for myself, look, I've been with 5 different organizations, 9 GMs, 7 different head coaches. So being able to adapt and work with different people and kind of get a sense of people's strengths, people's weaknesses, how they fit, really wasn't that kind of hard to figure out with this group. It's a really good group of guys, so we've enjoyed it.
And obviously, the draft, I'm sure you guys take pride in the players that you get. But the undrafted free agents, to find these guys like an Armani Rogers, a quarterback who's going to play tight end for you guys, I'm just curious, how gratifying is that process? And for him in particular, what was the evolution to scouting him to then him making this team?
Well, you're going to laugh, but this is almost a 3-year process because both Marty and I actually saw him initially at UNLV when he was a quarterback. And he wore number 2, and he had this kind of Cam Newton look number 1, this Cam Newton look to him in terms of his stature and his size. But you could see that he necessarily wasn't going to be a quarterback. It was too far away to see what he could actually evolve into. So as we fast forward, we've kind of been watching this guy, and then he transferred schools. And so, to predict that he would end up being a tight end, I can't tell you that I would have saw that because really you have to give that to Armani. What he did is, quite frankly, remarkable. I can't say that I've ever seen anything move at this type of pace, and that's why I'm so excited about where he's going, his trajectory really moving forward. I've had some experience in Seattle where we've converted, say, offensive linemen to defensive linemen, and defensive lineman, offensive lineman. Richard Sherman was a former receiver at Stanford that we ended up converting to corner. So Cam Chancellor was a quarterback who we ended up moving to safety. So I've had some familiarity with that. But something like this is definitely been remarkable to his part. It really speaks to his work ethic. It speaks to his mind. And I'm almost speechless because he really has done a fantastic job in terms of where he is.
Ethan Cadeau, NBC Sports Washington. Between Marty and Martin, those are 2 guys with a ton of GM experience. How has that helped you as you continue to grow?
That's the beauty of the situation. Every day I have an opportunity to sit back and learn from 2 guys that have been there and have done it. And I just appreciate both those men so much. They're so humble. They're so transparent. There's a vulnerability to both guys. They're so easygoing. So, every day, I'm having an opportunity to sit back, watch, learn, observe, and, and just I'm, truly learning on the run as it comes to the different challenges of the job, the things that you encounter, how they handle it. So I feel like I have, two terrific role models from that standpoint. And that also includes Coach Rivera, having an appreciation for him, working collaboratively, having the transparency, and really just having kind of a, glass walls approach in terms of giving me exposure and experience.
David Aldridge with The Athletic. I was curious what the last 24 hours are like in a war room or in a setting where there's people that you're looking at, but you don't know if they're going to be available. There's people that you may cut, but you want to bring back, and other teams are interested in them, and just kind of how all of that all the information kind of gets centered and in a position where you can make decisions.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to this is, first and foremost, be patient. Take your time. Look, there's a lot of moving parts to what's taking place. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of things that we may not have answers to right away, and so some of it, you have to kind of let it just fall to you. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. I mean, we're not exactly sure how all this will play out. Even as we're working through it today. But at the end of the day, you just want to be prepared in all areas. Obviously, Chris Pullian, our director of pro personnel, has done a great job of, leading our pro personnel department and really getting everything prepared in terms of all the different possibilities. And both for myself and Martin and Marty, we're, working along, just kind of getting answers, to the test as they come. So, at the end of the day, we'll just kind of let all this play out. And it's not as it's maybe not as scattered as it used to be. I think having 16 practice squad guys changes everything because, the reality is you see, the number of cuts. But then, again, most teams are going to be retaining their own guys, and, you will have 16 guys coming back. So it's not like maybe the early years when I came into this business and you had 6 guys and then it became 8 and then it became 10. Having 16 on the practice squad really changes everything. So the reality is aim small, miss small, and that's really kind of what you're talking about.
Steve White, Associated Press. So I'm wondering, with that practice squad and kind of the rule changes with that, and kind of the depth of the talent came out of the draft, do you expect more movement around the league with the 53s? I know you guys still kind of a fluid situation, but do you expect a lot of that movement of guys getting claimed and all of that, given how much talent is out there?
My guess is that I don't anticipate as much movement as you would think, just for those reasons. Because, again, you always want to work first internally. And if you can find the answers to the problems that you may be encountering with your roster, look inward first. And then, if you're unable to feel like you can find those pieces, then you kind of go to the external network. So, every team around the league is dealing with those same set of challenges. Every team may be different in terms of where they're light and heavy at their respective positions. So I think it's a little, I think it's a little bit harder now, again, to make a dramatic number of moves in terms of the claiming order, and that's the other part of it. I mean, claiming order plays into it. Whether if you're early in the claiming order, obviously we know teams that are later in the claiming order aren't going to probably more likely get a chance to get players. But so a lot of those players are going to that may change hands are going to probably come within, say, maybe the first 15, 17 teams in the claiming order. So I think there's just a lot of different dynamics that can play into that.
Hey, Matt Paris from the Washington Times. What is your role kind of in going about something like Carson Wentz, acquiring him? Like, obviously you guys were looking for a quarterback. Just kind of how do you help out in that regard? And
yeah, well, I mean, it's been interesting because, obviously we had Carson in Philly when I came here as a director of pro, so it was funny to, advance scout versus Carson. And so, I feel like I had a lot of familiarity with him. I mean, with him being in the division, having a chance to see him. On my end, I've been a director of college scouting on 2 different occasions, so I've had a chance to scout him, honestly, at the college level as well. So I mean, it's not just in a vacuum in terms of how, we came to be for me in terms of acquiring him. For me, it's been a little bit more of a journey. And so I feel like, I've had a chance to see him for quite some time now at different levels and really kind of seeing, how he's evolved as a player. the challenges he's gone through, the successes, you name it. So I've kind of feel like I've had a chance to see all that firsthand. And again, we're very excited to have Carson on board as our QB1.
And you guys claimed a pair of defensive backs off the waiver wire just now. What did you kind of?
Yeah, well, I'm going to let Ron and Martin talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, we do have some moves that are in place, and some of these things we'll get all the clarity on that once they have their chance to have their press conference later.
Pete Haley with NBC Sports Washington. As you look at this initial roster, just are there a couple position groups that you feel especially confident in, or maybe have some guys that you think could surprise some folks?
Well, I think, I probably won't get into some of the specifics of that, but what I would just say is, we're very excited about where we are, in terms of where we are in terms of building the team and just kind of, coming out of the final cuts. But I will tell you, as we build out the roster, that's a continuous process. We're always going to look to try to improve, in every area. I mean, that's a big part of it. I think a lot of it look at it as, okay, well, here we are, we're at the final cuts, but that's not really how the function of how, in terms of operations and scouting really works. We're going to continue to scour and kind of see, and if there's other areas, either where, we feel like we may be strong, we may look to stack it, because I kind of have a saying, right when you think you have depth, you don't. We had a situation already where we thought we had, depth at tight ends, and then we had some injuries, as you guys know, and so all of a sudden, it was a Monty Rogers show. So things can change so quickly. So I think it's always kind of, dangerous to just go in just assuming that you're really strong in this position, because one weekend can turn it all upside down, and that's why I think you just have to have an aggressive approach to everything that you're doing from that standpoint.
And you mentioned all the teams you've been with in the past and roles you've had. Are there any mentors besides the ones you have now that have helped you along your journey, or guys that you still find yourself maybe modeling yourself after?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you don't get anywhere in this business without, literally standing on the shoulders of others, as they say. And, obviously, I've worked with John Snyder, and he's someone that I greatly admire and has played a very strong role. There's Rustin Webster that I had a chance to work with and cross paths when also in Seattle. So, and look, there's a number of other guys out there that I've worked with that I hold in high regard. But certainly Ted Thompson, who gave me my start, and God rest his soul, has passed. Was also someone who I hold in very high regard. So, and really kind of helped establish some of the philosophies and in terms of things of how I see things from a football operations standpoint. So. But again, there's a great number of people that I've come across that have been big influences in my career.
Sam Fortier with the Washington Post. During the season, what does your job look like on the day-to-day, and what do you spend most of your time, what are the problems you're trying to solve on the day-to-day? Yeah,
so if I kind of took you through a week, for me, when I get back on Monday after the games, it's all about evaluating from within and just kind of seeing where we are, seeing injuries, just kind of checking to see if there's anything that we need to do in terms of transaction, bringing guys in for workouts. And so, I'm working collaboratively with Chris Pullian on that, just kind of getting an idea of emergency list, and look, there's all kinds of different. Do we want to poach? Do we just need to do a workout? Is it pressing and we absolutely need to, fill a void? So you're kind of looking at it in those realms. And then as we get to maybe towards the middle of the week, I get out on the road and I go see players. My nature is to get out and, go out and see the colleges. Look, the reality is the heartbeat of your team, is built through the draft. And so, I try to spend my, either I'm getting on a flight, Tuesday night or Tuesday morning, or I'm on the first thing smoking on a Wednesday, and I'm trying to be at a school call if I can on Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays, and be in a game. And I don't see a lot of my family or crew over the weekends, because then I'll meet the team, say if I'm somewhere. So that's really kind of my continuous process is, I'm going to focus on our team early in the week, but on the back half of the week, it's all about the draft. It's all about the college prospects.
I know everything is collaborative, but over the years that you've been here, is there a move, whether it be a signing or a claiming or something like that, where you feel like your expertise has been able to help you make that contribution to the team? Well, I go back. I just feel like being patient is probably one of the biggest things that I feel like we've always made here since I've been here, and generally when we've been patient and we take our time, and to me that's also a reflection of process. And, a reflection of making sure that, we have checked all the boxes and we've done everything that we possibly could to, come up with
the answers to allow us to make good decisions. So, but I can't pinpoint any one thing because it's just been, working with everybody in our building. It's been just a great job. I think we've all done just bring something different to the table. And I think the collaborative process with our group has just been awesome. So I couldn't say I can point to any one thing that I've done as much as it's really about the totality of working with everyone in our group that's really done, that I'm excited about and that I think is going to lead us to a lot of success moving forward.
Nikki Chavala with the Washington Post. How have your playing days kind of influenced your role as a scout and now director of personnel?
I just think instincts. I think sometimes there are just things that I may innately see or innately feel. I can tell you right now, in my career, which was brief, but look, I've been drafted, I've been traded, I've been cut. So I've gone through the full gambit of what these players are experiencing. I've gone through the process of going to the combine, being an all-star game. So I feel like I can relate to that, and I kind of understand that process for what these guys are kind of going through. But I do think a big part of it is just comes down just to instincts, and sometimes, and for me, then just going with my gut when I really sense something, when I really see something. It may not be, maybe obvious. It may be very subtle, but I do think just being perceptive from that I think does help with just kind of having that background.
And just with, cut day being yesterday, you said you understand that, going back to trade, what was that for you like as a player, and how do you hear about that? What is kind of going through your mind when something like that happens?
So it actually was kind of a funny story, being that I was in Seattle, and this was right before the '99 expansion draft. So I'm in Seattle, and next thing I know, I get a call from my agent. He said, Seattle just put you in the expansion draft. I'm like, oh, okay, and so as we're going through it, sure enough, I get drafted. So it's like, whoa, you're going to Cleveland. And and I loved Seattle. I mean, at that time, my future wife, so so my wife was like, well, we're going to have to get married here now if you're going to send me off to Cleveland. So, so that was just the reality of that situation. So you're, just like that overnight, you're in a place where, we're comfortable. Things look like they're on the up and up. I was excited about Mike Holmgren coming in and having a chance to work with him. And then, boom, here I am, shipped off, literally a few days later, and I'm on my way into Cleveland. So yeah, things like that change. That's the nature of this business. It really actually set the tone for really how my career is within this business. It's not for everyone. It requires resiliency, and it requires you building out relationships as well. So, but I mean, I take a lot of good things from that. It was still good. It was still a good experience.
All right, thanks, Eric.
All right, thanks everyone.
I was listening to Bobby Carpenter yesterday on the radio.
Yeah.